Hi, my name's Matt Covell. If you're watching this, maybe you're like me and maybe you got roped into a tech startup and you didn't really know what you were doing, but it seemed like fun and now you're in over your head. Or maybe you're just looking to learn more about it. I don't know. I kind of started doing this vlog because I want to capture my experience with the tech startup I've been working with, gamersportal.com. And how I got started with this is one of my buddies in college was he was a computer programmer. I was a business major, so we connected because we were both gamers. And I always really trusted his judgment. I said, if Carlos ever gets involved with anything pertaining to gaming, that's something that I want to be a part of because I feel like he can make a lot of money doing what he does. So he called me up out of the blue and kind of said, "Hey, I'm working with this startup. It's not exactly creating a game. We're creating a social networking site for gamers," and kind of intrigued me. I feel like social networking sites are a bandwagon right now, but I wanted to hear more. So I talked to him about it quite a bit, and he said, "Why don't you send me your resume? I want to talk to my boss about bringing you on, possibly to help out with the team. Not exactly sure how you can do it, but I know you can help some way." So I gave my resume over to Sammy, one of the founders, and had a long conversation with him. And essentially, I really agreed with the vision of the startup, and kind of so the vision that we're pursuing is providing a medium for gamers to connect, and whether that be in person, whether that be just online. Maybe you want to join a clan. I don't know how much you know about gaming, but you want to join a group of people and find like-minded individuals, and so we're that's the end goal, is to give people a method to do that. um, I don't want to talk too much about the tech startup. I want to talk a little bit about my experience because I think that's what's interesting and valuable. um, I was brought on to do project management for a software development team, and honestly, I had zero experience with that. I mean, I have tech experience because I've done tech stuff here and there. I'm pretty technologically inclined, but I didn't have any software development experience whatsoever. So I was starting from scratch essentially, and I work for a defense contractor, so any project management experience I had was in traditional planning sense. So traditional, what it's called waterfall planning, is what the defense industry uses. You create this massive, massive plan, you know, stretches out 10 years sometimes or more, and you follow that plan and you can't really deviate from the plan easily. And it's really expensive to make changes. It's not good for customers who make a lot of who change their mind a lot, and it's kind of outdated in ways, but it's necessary for what it is. Um, Agile development, which is what we use on my team, is the complete 180 from that. You focus on planning sessions that are 2 to 4 weeks, and a lot more trust is placed on the team. You don't really know the requirements until that 2 week planning session. It's called a sprint planning session. And so everything centers around these 2 week incremental builds and having a completely deliverable product in, say, 2 weeks. And so what that allows you to do is incrementally release something, and you don't have to wait until a final release. Whereas if traditional waterfall project management, you'd be waiting, say, 3 years to build a game, we'll say, for example. Um, you don't really have as much you can demo until most of the way through the development cycle. Whereas with what we're doing, you create a complete feature in that 2 week period, and that allows you to have a deliverable product. Let's say funding gets cut completely, at least you have something to show for it, and the customer gets something out of it. So I think it's a very powerful process. um, it's just so different than anything that I've ever used in my life. I mean, even school, I just graduated from college a few years ago. Even school kind of focuses on waterfall planning, traditional planning, because it focuses a lot on requirements. It says you're going to do this for homework, and if you deviate from that, I'm going to give you a bad grade. Whereas the equivalent of I guess agile development for homework would be, I want you to let's say make something that accomplishes this, and whatever medium you choose to use, is up to you. So I want you to make, you know, a vlog and a video blog, and you can use whatever you want, or I want you to make a blog period, and you can do whatever you want. And so you discuss with your team on, okay, are we going to do a video blog? Are we going to do a podcast? Are we going to do a traditional written blog? What are our strengths? What can we focus on? What's best for the team? And that's kind of, I guess, how I see agile development. And so that's been my challenge thus far. I've been brought on to do project management with this startup. And so I've had to learn a little bit about how to interface with a smaller team because I'm used to working on much larger teams. That's been really interesting for me. It's a completely different beast to work with people who don't have as much experience in a corporate environment. The work ethic is completely different, and kind of how they receive tasks and whatnot is very different. So depending upon how experienced your team is, you could have a completely different, story than me. So on my team, we have three essentially core developers. One of them is in his 30s and has been in the workforce for a while, Tevin. Carlos and Miguel are both Carlos just graduated from college. Miguel is just finishing up this year. So they both kind of haven't really worked in a true company, which is, it's good and bad. You kind of develop good and bad habits from working in a corporate environment. We've got Mike, one of the co-founders. He was kind of the visionary for the entire project, and Sammy, the other co-founder, he is in his 30s. Mike is only in his early 20s and is still finishing up college. Sammy's in his early 30s, very successful thus far in the tech industry, doing consulting and whatnot. And so he kind of, I would designate him as like the CEO. He's the one driving a lot of the decisions, and he's the most in control. We also have two designers, Rochelle, who's also in college with Carlos and Miguel, and Erica just signed on to the team, and I don't know too much about her except she's in her late 20s, and she seems pretty successful. She's designed a lot of websites, and that's been her strength. So this is the team thus far. The environments, none of us are really co-located. So I'm down in LA. Tevin is in a different part of LA. Sammy, one of the founders, is in Chicago. Mike, the other founder, is in Eastern Canada. Carlos, Miguel, and Rochelle are probably the closest. They all go to Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, but they don't. It's not like they do development together. They do it in their own homes, and we do everything based on go-to meetings and Skype, and basically using technology, brand new technology that I didn't even know existed before this team, effectively to bring us all together and accomplish a task, which is really interesting because it's also, you're trying to learn how to get your point across when you've just got audio, and I tend to motion a lot. I'm used to having, props or whatever, or a face to look at, and not really knowing even what some of the team members look like is interesting. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's different than the traditional. But like I said, everything around this team is not traditional. It's technology, which is faster paced. It's using a new type of project management that's just been really is still bleeding edge. I feel like. I mean, it's probably more developed than I'm giving it credit for, but most of the documentation has been created in the last 5 years. So this is something that's really responding to the needs of software development teams, where they needed a quicker planning cycle.